This is David Durham. He has a federal warrant for his arrest, and he is a wanted fugitive. If you have any information on David Durham, please call your local FBI. Hi everybody, this is Samantha with Kyron Horman Case Revisited. I'm going to go over in a video the case study of David Durham. David Durham was a volunteer firefighter who lived on Sauvie Island, and he lost that firefighting job when he became paranoid and started acting erratically at the beginning of June 2010, right after Kyron came up missing. Now, his property was searched, and sometime at the beginning of June, he ended up hurting his arm, his shoulder, started taking painkillers. None of his family members or friends can figure out why he started acting erratically. But on January 23rd of 2011, just 7 months after Kyron came up missing, after acting erratically and paranoid and just some very odd behavior in the past 7 months, he fled from Sauvie Island. He packed up all of his survival gear, and I am talking this survival gear was made for below zero temperatures, and he packed up his dog and he took off and went to Lincoln City. That's where I'm at, 107 miles away from Sauvie Island in Lincoln City, 4031 Highway 101. Highway 101 is right over here where the traffic is. Now the Walmart, the McDonald's, the Pig and Pancake, the Safeway over here, it's all the same. Nothing's changed except for this is now a Circle K. It became a Circle K in 2021. This was the last place that he was seen on camera dressed in full army gear from head to toe. And now we're going to travel 40 miles to Waldport, and we're going to tell the story of what happened after he left this gas station. This is footage of David Durham inside the Shell station just before he got pulled over on Highway 101. After David Durham leaves the gas station, he heads south on Highway 101. Shortly before midnight, Officer Stephen Dodd pulls him over for going 47 and a 35. It's just a regular traffic stop. David Durham ends up freaking out and shooting this officer. After he shoots the officer is fine, but this turned into a high-speed chase 40 miles down Highway 101 heading south towards Waldport. I am going to show you what this area is like. We are talking mountains and long windy roads that go along the shoreline of the coast here in Oregon. Let's go. This is a picture from Officer Stephen Dodd's dash cam when Durham was getting pulled over. Okay, so David Durham is traveling at high speeds. We're about 15 miles south of Lincoln City. This is a mountain that we are currently headed over that ends up kind of by Newport. Because of the shadowing and the sun, it is kind of blurry, but I am still traveling down Highway 101, and here's signs right here for a rough road. I mean, this rough road's been here for quite a long time, and there's big bumps and stuff in the road. You're gonna see my camera is going to shake a little bit because of it, and he's just flying past here right now. To the right of me is the ocean. It's the middle of the night, not a lot of traffic, and David Durham is hauling ass after shooting this officer in Lincoln City. Okay, so we just entered Newport, Oregon, which is a fairly large beach town, and there are several street lights all through this city, and David Durham is just flying through here. Lincoln City police officers have already called ahead and they're telling Newport officers, you know, that he's on his way. He's headed their way towards the Yaquina Bay Bridge. Okay, so this is the Yaquina Bay Bridge, and this is about 25 miles south in Newport, where officers heard the call that Durham was headed this way. He and a second officer, Keith Garrett, each in their own patrol car, drove to the edge of Newport and waited. 10 minutes later, the SUV flew by. Mitchell and Garrett fell in behind him, and soon a third officer, Tony, joined the pursuit. In South Beach, just across the Yaquina Bay Bridge, Durham began shooting. Okay, so we're crossing over Yaquina Bay Bridge. This is a 2-lane bridge, 135 feet up in the air. It's very narrow, and there's a high-speed chase going on. And when David Durham gets down at the end of this bridge, he's shooting at these officers. One car gets hit, and the other one ricochets off of one of the police vehicles. Now, the police are in total disbelief, because either by now a vehicle has crashed, the person has given up, or has stopped and just, you know, turned themselves in. Now, so right about here, the police say that he turned around and started shooting at them with a rifle. A rifle. And what is turned around? Did he turn around and shoot out the window, or did he turn his vehicle around? We don't know. But they are calling ahead to southern Lincoln County, asking if there's anybody up there towards Waldport that can help them stop David Durham. So now I am crossing over Alsea Bay Bridge in Waldport, Oregon. This is about 15 miles south of Newport, still on Highway 101. Now, the officers had called ahead to find out if there was anybody, a deputy or someone here, that could help them catch David Durham. And there was an officer in southern Lincoln County, and she had only minutes to do her job. Wearing sweats, tennis shoes, and her bulletproof vest, Abigail slipped from her house and rushed to US 101. As the gunshots and roaring engines grew closer, she hurried out onto the road, put spike strips in place, then raced back to take cover between her car and the bushes so Durham wouldn't see her. The SUV approached, and Dorsey jerked the spike strips in place and heard the SUV hit it twice. Moments later, the Newport officers saw the SUV slowing. We honestly thought he was going to get out and just open fire on the patrol cars. We couldn't let him run into the neighborhood with a bunch of guns. If he is shooting at 3 patrol cars, he obviously has no remorse. When we came up on him, I was over to the left of the Sergeant Garbrano's rig. Durham jumped out of his rig with a rifle and then went right straight around the front of his rig and bailed over a guardrail. That was the last time I saw him. This is the guardrail, left side of the road, that David Durham ends up jumping over, and it goes, you can go underneath the bridge. There's Alsea Bay, and way out that way is the ocean. This is where he jumps off to get away from police officers. So shortly after the police lost sight of David Durham, they heard gunfire. Later on, they learned that David Durham was shooting at fishermen that were crabbing in Alsea Bay. Now, they don't know if he drowned, if he ended up getting help from family that lived here in Waldport, or if he made it into the mountains, but he hasn't been seen since. A federal warrant was issued for him on January 29th, and he was profiled on America's Most Wanted shortly after. Now the question is, why? Why did David Durham shoot at the police officer? Why was he paranoid? Why did he become delusional? Did he have something to do with Kyron's disappearance? And when they started searching his property, did he just make him paranoid? They went out onto Sauvie Island more than one time. So each time they went out, was he just become more paranoid? And that is the question. Or could it have been the pain medication that he started taking after he hurt his shoulder in June of 2010, right after or during the time that Kyron had came up missing? Nobody knows why he became erratic, why he became so paranoid. All we know is that he hasn't been seen since. This is the last video. I wanted to show you the area in which Alsea Bay is in. This is a mountain ridge and stuff, but the bridge is over here, and Alsea Bay does a little loop right here, and it comes down underneath this bridge. It also goes further around all of this land. This is a little slough, but if he would have came right under the Alsea Bay and proceeded to continue on, he would have just ended up in the woods. So if he did live and he didn't drown in the bay, he could have made it into the hills. This country road goes up and just travels up. But there are all kinds of mountains and stuff and land back behind these trees. There are a few houses right here, but once you get, let's see, east of here, about 5 miles, there's nothing but mountain roads. That's it. He just disappeared. Here you can see the stretch of Highway 101 from Lincoln City to Waldport. The officer gets shot in Lincoln City, and then the southbound chase begins all the way down to Newport over the Yaquina Bridge, where he then starts opening fire, and then the spike strips are laid out right before he gets to the Waldport Alsea Bay Bridge. You can also see under that number 39 the forest area that I was talking about, where he could have been hiding if he didn't end up drowning in Alsea Bay. You can also see the search area where they searched hundreds of houses and talked to his family members that also live there in Waldport. My husband brings up a very good point that he was up to something and was looking for help if he was headed where family was. So here's the perspective on David Durham, and if you have any information on him, please contact your local FBI. He is a wanted fugitive.